Okay, good everybody. So basically today we'll be looking at some important issues. Recently, the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria just came up with some statistics that between last year and last month, about 900 and something manufacturing companies have shut down in Nigeria. Between that same time, in the space of small businesses, they are projecting that over 100 and something thousand small businesses have also shut down. Now, I was also looking at the news yesterday, newspaper, and I saw that workers are resigning, not necessarily because they don't like the job, but because some of them have checked the cost of transportation, the cost of running their business, and they just feel that, you know what, let me just stay at home. I mean, if you have noticed what has been happening on Lagos Road recently, it's like, in fact, on Friday, I was driving towards my 2, and I had to slow down to be sure that nothing was happening because almost everywhere was empty. Now, but if you understand this very well, it is just a recipe for more crisis, because the way the economy of any nation works is this. So let's say you are paid 10,000 naira salary, for instance. So from that 10,000 naira, you take transport, maybe 200 naira in a day, right? And from that 200 naira, you pay the transport person. The transport person will take the money from there and buy fuel. The fuel person there will take the money from that same 200 and pay their workers. The workers from that same money will pay their children's school fees. What this implies is that when you slow down any particular aspect of it, it doesn't just affect your small distance. That circle is disrupted. And so it means that in any organization, any community, now what Nigeria is facing is not just what people will look at on individual basis, but what we need to look at on a community level. Meaning that whatever we are doing, we need to ensure that the next person where our revenue is going to, the person is actually doing something. Because look at it the reverse way now. So let's say you're supposed to give the bike guy 200 naira, from which he was supposed to send his pay his children's school fees. Now, because of what is happening now, you decide to trek. Because of that, that bike man doesn't have money to pay his child's school fees. Because he doesn't have money to pay his child's school fees, his child stays at home and is thinking, what agboros do I need to join to cause something? Which means, as you are now trekking earlier, because you now means you need to go to work earlier, that child that is now sitting at home is now seeing these people walking around 5:30 to this thing because they need to trek early to get to work. That's this person's bag looks more attractive. Now, because of that, because this person is not sending the child to school, the teacher that is supposed to teach doesn't have money. The school doesn't have money to pay the teacher. And because they don't have money to pay the teacher, what happens? The teacher is saying, okay, these school people are no longer paying me. What else can I do now to shortchange the school? Which means they are taking, okay, these markers that are giving me, do I need to start to sell them? Or do I now need to start to, instead of the parents now coming to the school to do after school for their children, do I now need to corner them to do it at home for them? So, which means the revenue of the school is going down. Now, because the revenue of the school is going down now, the school is saying, do we actually need all these teachers? Now, when they said, okay, let's reduce the number of teachers, they reduce the number of teachers. Now, because they've reduced the number of teachers, probably the husband of that teacher depends on part of the money that she's bringing for them to take care of the family. Because this money is no longer coming in, this man's, when he just says, does it make any sense going to work? And he stays at home. And because he's staying at home, he's worrying the more. Because he's worrying the more, what happens to his blood pressure? It's going up. So what it means is that, especially for everybody who is in business, who understand this trend, you need to not just look at it that Nigeria is sad, but also need to look at it, what are we supposed to do to ensure that things, at least on our own side, starts to get reactivated. It means that downsizing, cutting down staff should be the last option for any company. But if that is the last option, what are companies supposed to do? Let's say we go to meet our clients now, what advice are we supposed to give them? And also when it comes to ourselves, what are we supposed to do? The first thing is streamlining our operations. Streamlining means looking at what we are doing now, how can we do it more effectively? The person who is running interviews, are there where you can streamline these interviews to do it faster? Such that instead of doing 5 interviews per day, can you now increase it, streamline the operation so that we are now doing 10? Because it means that the more interviews we do, the more people will put out to get more jobs. It also means that looking at the time wasters we have in our system, how do we now start to cut down on those time wasters? What are the areas that when somebody comes to work, are we measuring our productivity? Who are the people contributing? Who are the people who are not contributing? If we measure the result that we've got in the past 30 days, for instance, what is the contribution of everybody towards this level of achievement? And in the areas we are struggling, who are those who are contributing the most towards the struggle? Because streamlining the operation is critical for survival of businesses now. And when we understand that, we need to now understand that we need to sit up in all we are doing and start to streamline all our operations. Because see what will happen to a lot of people. Do you know why the rows are empty? When somebody is angry, the person tends to want to take action. When somebody is excited, the person wants to take action. But then when somebody is sad, what happens? The person just wants to sit at home doing nothing. Which is why most people who are at home now, why the rows are empty, is that people are feeling sad, people are feeling depressed, and they feel that the best option is for them to just sit at home and do nothing. But if we can get this thing to the level of anger, when somebody is angry, the person can come out and say, you know what, let me find what I can actually do that this thing wouldn't keep me down. And it means that for us, most especially, let's not allow sadness get into us or depression get into us, because what it only do is that it makes you reduce your level of activity. It makes you stop putting in as much effort as you used to do. And what happens now is the level of productivity that you used to get will start to go down. Meaning that no matter how much this pressure is on us, everybody must not allow sadness. It's okay to get angry, it's okay to get motivated or excited, but depressed or sadness shouldn't be an option for anybody. Because sadness lowers your productivity, depression lowers your productivity. An angry person wants to take action, and what we need now from everybody is that anger that is properly channeled, is that excitement, that motivation that is properly channeled. Meaning this is not the time to think that, oh, everything is going bad, things are not working. It's time to tell you know what, the government is messing up this thing, and I on my personal this wants to do something. And for it to work now, you say, I'm currently producing 10 good candidates in the interview I'm doing. Now I want to scale it up to 20. Scale it up, because you need to understand that for us as we are scaling our operation, for us to actually, because you don't know if you don't do this recruitment very well, and we don't get people into the workforce, somebody who is sitting at home, you don't know who is supposed to send money to, and that person who is supposed to send money to might just be an area boy that is living on your street, and as he sees you work every morning, that your handbag is just looking more attractive and more attractive. Which means when we get these things and understanding, we need to understand that every day we come to work, we need to stimulate the nation's economy, our local economy, such that at least for our own safety, let things be running in our community. You are not doing it for the safety of you are not doing it for yourself. We are actually doing it for yourself because you don't know where, if that trigger you are triggering, where it's ending to. And for that to happen it means streamlining what we are doing and say, how do we make ourselves more efficient, more effective, so that from our activity, more revenue is going into the Nigerian economy. Because as we are pushing more activity into the economy, at least within our local sphere, we are ensuring that more people are helping to trigger the economy, and that way we're ensuring that where it would have led somebody to attack us, probably because we got a job for somebody in Ikeja, and the person is coming from Ekpaja, and the bus conductor the bus driver that is taking the person from Ekpaja to Ikeja has a younger brother that is staying in Bokuno, and his princess neighbor. And because that Ipaja guy is sending the money to his younger brother, the younger brother is not eyeing princess handbag every morning. But we will not see the relationship between what we are doing here and somebody who are getting a job at Ikeja that has to do with Bokuno. Because if you look at it, it's like as if they are scattered, but they have relationship. Which means for us internally and for any company internally to look at the operations that they have now, how do we streamline it? Because the critical thing that everybody who is in business needs to realize is that the reduction in your productivity is increasing the risks to yourself and to your family. You see this thing happening in the southeast, all the kidnapping, and in the north. It's a simple same circle. A man that normally would make, let's use in the north for instance, the terrorist attack. The average northerner sells and earns per day and takes care of their family. But then things become more expensive, so they can't go to their village now to buy things. And because they can't send money to the village, what do? They resort to terrorism. And when they start resorting to the kidnapping, the person who is supposed to go now to farm can no longer go to farm. And because he can't go to farm anymore, the person who is supposed to get the plants that they used to feed their cattle from the farmers now don't have this thing to feed their cattle. When you say I don't have this thing to feed my cattle and my children, what do they resort to? Banditry. And all this might start because a trader in Lagos that used to import what this person that will maybe the Boki carrying goods in Kano, offloads in the truck that comes from Lagos to Kano. Maybe because the person in Lagos is not doing their work, it's affecting somebody in Kano. And that person in Kano, when you translate it now, the younger brother might just be somewhere in Ogun State, and he hears that his younger brother now, the person in Sokoto is now a kidnapper. He says, okay, you know what? Let me also start my own in this thing. So it is a circle that for us to get right is not what we now need to depend on the government to do. It's at our own individual level, working it out for ourselves. And when it comes to us inside this, our operations now in-house, how do we streamline it? And it also comes now to the different team leaders. Meaning, as a team leader, as a manager, as a supervisor, how are you ensuring that there's efficiency in what you are doing, in what your team is doing? Are you supervising what your people are doing and checking, are they generating the result they are supposed to generate? Because this thing goes round in circle. Now, also, at this point in time is for people who want to grow, is the time for everybody to start to look at. You know, at the beginning of the year, when we were still at Shege, we didn't know that Banza was coming in. We were just saying, you know what, let's just focus on our premium clients. But then, as we started, I started to see that most people serve, even to do normal distance, not to talk of switching to premium. And I will have to say, see, let's go back to some of the things that we used to do that were giving us revenue. Meaning that the recruitment now, we now need to start to activate them aggressively. Any company that wants to at least thrive in this current Nigeria economy needs to look at what are their previous revenue sources. Even if it was giving them just trickles, they need to start to activate all of them. There might be maybe the woman selling akara. The yam she was selling before was not giving her so much profit, and she abandoned it. This is the time for her to activate that yam distance. So what this means for us is we need to look back and say, okay, who are the customers that we've abandoned that used to do business with us? We now need to go back and start to review them. Who do we need to start to reactivate? Any business that will survive now must start to reactivate some of their dead revenue sources, or rather abandoned revenue sources. Yeah, when you are doing well, you can decide to, you know what, this one is giving me 100% margin. This one is giving me 50%. This one is giving me 5% distance. So this 5% and 10% margin, let me drop it. Let me focus on the 50 and 100. But as it is now, even the one that is giving you 1% margin, you need to activate it. And what that means for us is now going back and saying, who are the customers that we did business with in the past 3 years that we've not done anything with them, the past 2 years that we've not done anything with them, the past 1 year that we've not done anything. It means going back to compile and come up with their list. It also means looking at what are the things that we used to do before that we've stopped doing. Some of the revenue streams that we're doing before so that we can start to reactivate them. Then also sitting back, things are changing seriously, and because things are changing, it means that people now need to start to look beyond what they are doing and say, okay, what is the future where we need to also move into? In the past few days, I've actually been looking at the industry that will likely die in the next 3, 4, 5 years. And some of them might be what I was watching something this morning, and I saw a video where robots with artificial intelligence were conducting surgery. I watched a video where they now have you now have your own personal assistant robot, especially for the disabled, that does almost all the work for them. What this tells us that if robots can do this more things we thought were technical, what of our own, which is just service? Meaning, if there will be a disruption in our industry, are we prepared for it? And it means that the best, I was discussing with somebody on her website, say no, she didn't pay anybody. She just went to ChatGPT, create this website for me. and gave the instructions, and ChatGPT just created the website this thing, and that's what she's using. Meaning that if you are a website designer, you are out of business. Meaning that if you're a recruiter, are you checking if you have a future? So it's for us to look at if part of what we do is under threat. How do we start to, okay, even if we don't continue the normal this thing, the programs that will run it, do we need to start to learn how these things work? Now, the most important area for this current season for any company is retaining the current customers that you have, which essentially means improving the quality of your service delivery. How fast do we respond to our customers? How do we respond to the customers? What is our attitude to the job? And you're not doing anything to get it up to standard. The person is considering, what are my options? And any client you lose in this space with the way things are going is affecting seriously your revenue stream. Yeah, last 2 months we're saying, see, these people don't want to work with them. That people don't want to work with them. That was when fuel was still at 500, 600. If we used to buy a gallon of fuel at a gallon we used to buy for 20,000, that same quantity now, that same gallon is now 30,000. I saw where Joey Bokwe was, will I say, wailing on Facebook that he used to buy NEPA recharge card of 20,000 that will last him for 1 month. That one he bought now didn't last for 24 hours. So which means your expenses is going up. And the least you can do is to maintain your revenue. And for that to happen, it means we need to ask ourselves, how do we improve on the quality of our service delivery? How do we improve on our customer service? Do we know how to handle issues? Do we know how to handle complaints? So I want us now, as we are going into the review session, let everybody sit up, let's come up with ways. Let's look at ways of improving what we do. Let's look at ways of streamlining. And most importantly, let's also look at areas of weakness. There's something that happened in the Bible. You know, if you remember the story of Job, which is what a lot of companies need to take seriously. Sorry, Jonah. They said they were in this ship, and the ship was about to sink. And the guys consulted their Ifa. So Ifa is that Yoruba this thing. And the Ifa said, okay, is this particular guy that is causing the problem? Throw this guy into the sea, and you guys can save everything. All the goods, containers on the ship, and everybody in the ship. So when they say, okay, when the Ifa now say, okay, this guy is the person that needs to be dumped into the ship. And they knew that it was Jonah that they needed to throw into the sea. But then they decided to start to throw all the people's customers' container inside the sea, and the boat was still about to sink. They decided to throw everything inside the sea, and the boat was still about to sink. Until they took Jonah and dumped him into the sea, and the thing stabilized. It means that a lot of companies will struggle and fail because they know that this person is causing us problem. And because they want to manage, that person is sinking the ship. What this means that any company that wants to survive now must look at, CEO, we can't sacrifice the ship of this company for one person. Because we know that if this company goes down, a lot of things will go down, and it can affect our bigger community. So we need to sacrifice this one person such that this ship will stay. Anybody who is putting holes in the ship of their company needs to be taken out for that company to continue operating. So for us is to look at, if anybody is not ready to sit up, the person is more like Jonah. And one of the things that we are not going to do now is to say, okay, let's keep sacrificing things, let's keep incurring costs, let's keep incurring expenses just to manage this one person. The person will have to go. So please, everybody, and any company that wants to change must also look at taking drastic decisions to save their firm. I hope we understand.